up close and personal. This is actually so weird. It's nostalgic. It's kind of freaking me out. This is actually, you can probably tell by the quality or not, I don't know. This is an old camera. This was my first camera I ever bought for YouTube. This is a Canon 80D. I actually don't even think they make those anymore. Oh my God, it's big. It's like that big when I'm used to like my tiny M50. I am excited to sit down and kind of just talk long form rather than a vlog. I don't do it a lot on my channel at all. Ew, I feel like you're like in my face. I'm excited though. I have been thinking about this video for a minute now, kind of going back and forth on how I want to approach the topic, but I think I'm just going to do what I do best and ramble. That's why I have a podcast, because I could do that for like an hour and a half with my best friend. But we'll try and keep this as short and sweet as possible, as much as I can try to make this topic short and sweet. That being said, I do want to say I'm announcing a giveaway in this video, so stay tuned for that. I guess maybe I'll give some backstory if maybe you don't listen to the podcast or whatever, but October? I think October. Actually, it might have been August. Within the past 6 to 8 months, I went through a breakup. I guess I'm still going through it. When do you stop going through a breakup? I don't know. Really intense one. I mean, what heartbreak isn't intense? But this, I will say, it is definitely really fucking intense. A lot of betrayal, a lot of, I mean, hindsight's 20/20 in all situations, but this, once I took off the lens and like re-looked at that relationship I was in, it was bad. It was really bad. But without getting into that, because that's not the point of today's video, I want to shed light on, maybe pat myself on the back of the self-growth I've really just like, I forced myself to do, poured myself into, whatever you want to call it. Just these past few months, something really clicked for me. I definitely feel like going through that breakup was, in some weird way, I guess not weird at all, very meant to be. I think I know. It definitely sent me into oblivion. With oblivion, I guess, comes forced growth. I had no choice but to fucking figure it out. And that mixed with some other kind of personal stuff I have going on in my life and just getting older, I do feel like for the first time in a very long time, maybe ever, I'm feeling so calm, so grounded, so alone, but like in a good way, like in a sustainable way where I can be alone. And I feel like it's all just rooted in really like sinking my teeth in and practicing real self-love. I think self-love is a journey that I would hope everybody wants to or goes down at some point in their life, but I think we all kind of get there with different catapults. Like me with a heartbreak, some people might be through grief of someone close to them. Some people might be through career changes that are like springing a new perspective in their face, or there's so many things that can like push you into it. You're probably even thinking of yours right now. But for me, I feel like it all boils down to just gaining an overall appreciation for yourself that comes with compassion, being okay spending time alone, being confident in setting boundaries with those people around you, not worried about what other people are gonna think, and putting yourself first, but not in like a selfish way, in like a selfless way where you're, I don't know, just like valuing, but you're valuing, yeah, that's it, your needs. I think with alone time and spending time with your thoughts and your body also comes masturbation. I know a lot of people probably just cringed or paused the video, so I guess they're not hearing this, but it's so normal. It should be so normal. It should be normalized. It's normal already, but it should be talked about more. Spending time with yourself and your body and learning your body is, honestly, I think it's a very beautiful part of life and growing up. And it's also something that I find is very important for future sexual partners. Like, how are you gonna know how to tell your partners what you want, or even know what you want in your partner sexually when you don't even know how to fulfill that yourself, you know? With that, I do want to say thank you, Bellesa, for sponsoring today's video. Bellesa has been my go-to for years now when it comes to anything sex toys. I actually don't own any that aren't from Bellesa. Bellesa is a woman-run company for all things sexual wellness. I just love how, like, go look at their Instagram. Whoever runs their Instagram, you are so good at your job. They really just embrace everyone to explore their sexuality, which I think we need more of. This bad boy is my favorite. This is the Air Vibe. I love it. All the packaging for all these, which you'll see, are so discreet. I love the packaging for these too, because when you travel, you throw it in your bag and TSA doesn't need to know anything. It's waterproof, it's rechargeable, and it has dual stimulation. Just try it. I also love how silent all of these are. It's not like you have like a lawnmower going on in your room in the middle of the night. That being said, this is the Pebble. This has a little suction part as well as vibration. It's also created to like fit perfectly in your hand, and there's no like annoying vibration patterns or anything. And it's cute and pink and so small. And lastly, this is the Thump. I love the color of this one. So sleek. Oh, also this is the charging thing. So it's like in the case when these all charge. But yeah, this one kind of does it all. Vibrates, thumps, suctions. The Thump uses Bellesa's Pleasure Jet technology, and this one is also waterproof. If I had to pick one, it's this one. Bellesa and I are literally giving free vibrators and free gift cards for vibrators to anybody who signs up for the giveaway. Free 99. So when you're done watching this video, go enter that giveaway and happy self-love. I feel like the biggest thing for me has been not ignoring the needs of not only my mind, but my body. I talk about it a lot in the podcast, but I definitely have noticed that I'm someone who's very in tune with my body. I even feel like since I can remember, any emotion I'd go through, happy, sad, whatever it is, I really do feel it in my body for like days on end. I've been able to pick up on things in my life through the feelings in my body, whether that's a buzzing in my head or a weird feeling like physically in my gut or a weird dream. Like I feel like my body and my brain send me signals of things happening like in and around me. That sounds like a crazy person, but I promise that's me just trying to like wrap it up. Maybe I'll do another video on that. If you listen to the podcast, you have context to a lot of that. Just to kind of wrap it up, I feel like I really value honoring that side of my self-love and, you know, taking the time I need to rest if my body's really yearning for that. So yeah, that self-care, people always say like self-care isn't just warm baths and face masks and blah, blah, blah. Sure, it's not just that, but like that's also a really big part of it. Like when my body is feeling run down, an Epsom salt bath actually is the cure. Ultimately, just find whatever works for you. I've really, especially as I've gotten older and like living on my own and everything, I've really started to value kind of setting my space. If I'm drawing a bath, lighting a candle with it. I'm watching a movie, I'll set like the mood lighting. Like I have a neon sign. I have a lot of like really cool lighting in my room, and it's not just for decor, it's also to actually like set the vibe of the room. I feel like for years, like especially in my early 20s, when I was told like you need to spend alone time, like I was like, okay, do I just like sit here and just like think? You can do that. There's its own values in doing that, but like even if you're gonna sit and journal or sit and read or sit and think, like set your space. Kind of wrapping up this setting your space for your mind and body point, for me it really does just boil down to keeping my nervous system calm. That is like the base of almost like every emotion. You guys have probably heard of like fight or flight, right? It's when your body is just in like a state of alert, which is called your sympathetic system. That's when you're like overstimulated, cortisol on 10, anxiety every day, just like you know what it feels like. And sadly, a lot of people in even our modern world, mostly in our modern world, live that way. And I don't want to shit on the sympathetic system because like I almost said growing up, well that too, but like with evolution of humans, like we did need that when we were hunters and gatherers. Like you did need to be able to go into that fight or flight response when there was literally like a lion coming at you and you had to like save your family. You don't need to do that anymore unless you live in the jungle. But yeah, it's just not a place to live for too long. It has its time and place, but if your nervous system gets into, I guess, the habit of staying in that, it can shut down function within the body. Not like you're just gonna die, but like when you're in fight or flight for too long, you might notice like your digestion, that's the first thing for me. My digestion, shit. Just like goes to shit. Your sleeping patterns, you don't wake up rested because you're not actually going into quality REM sleep because you're on obviously anxiety, brain fog, just like chronic fatigue. You could do your own research too. Again, like with anything I say in this, I am not a doctor. This is just like my experience and my findings. The goal is to get to your parasympathetic system, or otherwise known as like your rest and digest, where your body can calm down. Like the fight or flight is pretty much your body being like, I need to conserve all energy because this lion's running at me. So that's why it shuts down all these functions. But when you're in your parasympathetic, your body knows there's not a lion running at you or whatever the case is. And you can kind of allocate that energy into quality sleep, processing, like your body processing the meal you just ate, breaking away the brain fog and actually having some like focused, sustainable energy on whatever is like in front of you at work or school or whatever. Yeah, it's a way bigger topic and it fascinates me, so maybe I'll go into it more at some point, but that's kind of the gist of it. So you gotta take care of your mind and your body. Now, saying that, you're probably like, but how do I know when I need to do that? That just comes with time. I'm 29. I'm not like a million years old, but I'm also not a kid anymore. And I know how shitty it was to be told that, even in like the terror of my early 20s, being like, it'll just click one day, I was like, what do I do until then? Like, what do you mean it'll just click one day? I'm gonna say that's true. Yes, it will just kind of click one day, especially if you're under the age of like 25, 26 and your literal frontal lobe is not developed yet. But it also just comes with time and experience. And I feel like the best thing you can do if you are on that self-love journey is spend that time with yourself. Figure out the things you like and don't like. And sometimes all that takes is like actually sitting there and like, whether you're journaling or if you're thinking, if you're working out, like whatever your kind of vice is to calm your mind, when you're in that state, then ask yourself like, what do I actually enjoy? Like what actually gives me energy? What depletes my energy? 9 times out of 10, I don't want to say I promise because I don't sorry, I just hit this. I don't want to promise anything, but more times than not, if you just ask yourself, like, you have the answer. It's just taking the time to sit with yourself and let your subconscious answer your question. For me, what that's looked like is like growing up, even in like movies or songs or I don't know, just like the adults around me, I've always heard people be like, oh, I'm just like so exhausted after, going out with my friends or whatever. I just need to like sit back and do nothing and like recharge. I've always heard like that word, recharge. There's so much value in recharging, but I guess I always thought recharging was like shutting down, like laying in bed, turning off my brain, staying home, which that is an element of recharging that I do partake in. But what I'm getting to here is, as I've gotten older, I've actually noticed I'm somebody who recharges with people. Again, I love and appreciate my alone time, but I, for years, was like submerging myself into it to a point where like I wasn't even enjoying it anymore. Like I was like, I'm bored. Like I'm really alone right now and I don't want to be. Let's pause right there though, because there's also like a fine line of when you don't want to be alone, then you got to ask yourself, do I not want to be alone right now because I genuinely am just like bored and like I just like want to go do something? Or do you not want to be alone because you're trying to like stay stimulated so you don't have to think about the underlying thing going on in your life or your mind? I know that hit for like a few people listening to this. I started noticing I feed off energy, and I guess that's what an extrovert is. And I think I've just learned that I am an extrovert. And I feel like growing up, I mean, honestly, a lot of my family, I would say, are introverts. So it's all relative. Like I was surrounded by people who did need to like come within and like isolate's a bad word, but for lack of a better word, because I'm rambling, kind of isolate to recharge. I always thought that's what I had to do. Again, that's just me, but I think it's about finding what that is for you. Not just if you're an introvert or an extrovert, because I also think there's a spectrum there and it's also situational. God, it could even depend on where I'm at in my cycle, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, just like being honest with yourself on what you need and not really letting the social norms around you affect what you need. I hope this is making sense. So if there's somebody in your life who's like you really are just like, I need to relax, and they're like, come on, let's go out, come on, and like pushing you to go out, but you feel bad because you might be like a people pleaser, and you're like, like I don't want to disappoint them, like I don't want them to be mad at me. A few things. One, if someone's mad at you for not going out, granted, if it's like their wedding or their birthday, that's a different conversation, but like, you know, just like a random Friday, they're like, oh, you just don't want to go out because you actually do just want to stay home and like clean your room or whatever. If they're gonna get like pressed about that, reevaluate the people in your life. But yeah, say you're in a situation like that, I think it's so essential to learn how to set boundaries. If you were to go out, it's going to drain you even more, and like, you want to just stay home and like kick it alone. It takes practice, but strive to not care. I guess that's easier said than done, but it does take practice to set boundaries. At least for me, like I feel like I have to set them a few times to get comfortable with setting them. But setting boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable to do so, is a form of self-love. It's a form of honoring what you want deep down, regardless of how it's going to affect others. I feel like through self-love and like really, really making it a priority for you, I feel like I've heard people, especially like people who write in on the podcast, say like it's kind of weeded out some relationships, which is also really normal. Knock on wood, I'm grateful to say that hasn't happened to me. I'm very grateful to say that the people in my life have been like forever supportive of all my phases, and me to them as well, to where there hasn't been like a, wow, Kristen, you're really switching up your energy, like I don't want you in my life anymore type shit. But that can happen when people notice that you are going to start putting yourself first and not them. It can rub a lot of people the wrong way, so just, I guess, be mindful of that. But then they weren't supposed to be in your life anyway. Okay, moving to another point. This one is definitely like a current one for me. Self-compassion. It's the hardest thing to do for me. But it's so ironic, and maybe you'll relate. It's the hardest thing to apply to myself, literally the easiest thing to apply to people around me. Like if one of my friends is, feeling low energy and like venting to me about how they didn't get something done on their to-do list because they're feeling distracted because their cat just died. I'm like immediately like, oh my God, dude, give yourself some love. You're dealing with a lot right now. Like, take the day off. Is there anything I can help you with? Be gentle with yourself, blah, blah, that's just such like a natural response. But if I'm having that same bad day because my cat died or whatever, I'm still gonna sit there and be like, obviously the day the cat dies, I'm probably gonna not be able to do anything, but the following days after, knowing myself, like I'll be like, dude, you got to get over it at some point, pull yourself together. And then I'll pull myself together, start whatever task I should be doing, and then not perform well at the task because I have so much on my mind. And then while I'm sitting there in my head, I'm like, dude, why am I so dumb right now? Like, why can't I just like use my brain? Like, what's going, and I'll question and talk so shitty to myself about why I'm not capable of doing something to the extent that I want to do it, without considering the shit that I have on my plate. And I know everybody can relate to this because we all have some type of shit on our plate. And then I'll start doing this thing where like, I'll think about whatever is on my plate, whatever problems I'm dealing with, and be like, what am I even bitching for? Like, there's people that are literally starving. There's people that didn't wake up this morning, and I'll start kind of zooming out, which is, I think, a good skill to have. Like, it's definitely of value to be able to remain like sympathetic to what's going on in the world, but I'll almost like villainize it and use it to pick me apart, which is like the opposite of productive. Does that make sense? Like I said, it's still a work in progress, but something I constantly like have to remind myself is I'm only human. This is literally my first time in this body doing this life. And having that compassion always just kind of helps me drop my shoulders even for a second to like take the knife I just put in my own back, because I swear I ripped myself apart so bad. And like, if you could just like alleviate that self-critical voice for a second, it's really good for you. I used to always think affirmations were kind of corny, to be completely honest with you. And I've tried them. Like, I have some on my mirror. I even have affirmations on my phone. What does that say? Today, good luck is on my side. This app is called I Am, by the way, if you are somebody who is interested in that. For years, I was just like, oh, this shit's bullshit, whatever. But call it growing up or call it desperation. I just recently was so down bad that like, you know you're down bad when you're like, give me a fucking affirmation, dude, I need something. And I downloaded this app, and I will say something clicked. I think they do work. I think they work. Talking nice to yourself has literally been studied at this point, and obviously anything is good with repetition, but just almost tricking your brain into these narratives over time really improves your mood. And I call me a product of it. I have been trying it lately, and I've even been told by people around me that my energy is different, which that's cool. That's validating when people around you can notice it too. But bottom line, and most importantly, I feel it. Like, I feel the difference. I feel like I just brain vomited. I hope this resonates. I hope this made sense. I hope this helped even like one person listening or, you know, watching this. I'm no expert at all. I even chose to do this video because it is very relevant to me right now. It's an active practice for me right now, the most it's been ever in my life. And it's not always easy, and it doesn't always feel like it's resonating, but sticking with the repetition, even beyond the affirmations, choosing yourself, asking yourself what you need, taking care of your mind and body is actually something you'll never regret. Go date yourself, go buy yourself flowers. That's been one of my favorite things to do. Clean up your space, like change the perspective of the things you do for yourself. Like, I even like doing laundry and stuff. I have a pile right here that I'm about to do after I film this, but I look at that and like when I'm like down bad and I'm like, I just let it pile up. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, no, like I'm gonna clean my space because I deserve to live in a clean space. Bottom line, just honor yourself and what fuels you and what drains you. And if you don't know what those things are yet, that's okay too. You will learn. It comes easier than you think. Once you start honoring yourself, things start clicking into place. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to enter the Balesa giveaway. I will link everything down below for you. Take care of yourself, go eat a yummy meal, and don't take life too seriously. All right, guys, bye.